Wow. This is an experience. So, let me, sorry, folding my paper. All right. Okay, here we go. So, like everyone before me has said, this is the last primetime of the year. But for me, this is the last primetime of my college career. So that's a little bit sad because I met some of my best friends here. I got to know the woman that would be my wife here. And primetime itself has greatly impacted my faith. So I'll be sad to be here, or not sad to be here, but sad to see this night end. So take advantage of primetime while you're still in college. Seriously. So like Alex said, my name is Michael Carey, and I hail from Champlin, Minnesota. It's a north suburb of Minneapolis, so that's where I come from. So before I start talking about Luke 10, which is what I'll be talking about tonight, I thought that you should know 3 things about me. And these are things that, if you know them about me, then we'll have a better relationship tonight. And you'll maybe understand a little bit of where I'm coming from. So the first thing I already mentioned is that I'm married. So I married my best friend. That's us, our wedding day. She's a hottie. When we got married last year, May 20th. So 10 days from now is our 1-year anniversary. So, and I didn't forget, so that's good. At least this year I did. The second thing that you need to know about me is that I love rocks. So there you go. Rocks. But specifically, my favorite rock is a rock called Baraboo Quartzite, and that's it right there. So, and you can see why it's my favorite, right? So great. But actually, it's my favorite because it's only found in Baraboo, Wisconsin, and it's purple quartzite, and quartzite's normally tan. So I think that's pretty cool. We live in a cool state, so there you go. One of the strangest habits that I have is that when I'm walking on campus or wherever, if I see a cool rock, I'll pick it up and I'll just put it in my pocket. And then at the end of the day, I'll have maybe like 4 or 5 rocks in my pocket. And then from there, that's it. That's my habit. And actually, when Megan and I were dating, I ended up giving her most all of those rocks. But I eventually gave her the rock that really mattered. So I guess it's not that bad of a habit. And then the third thing that you really need to know about me, and this is something that I will tell you if we're ever at an overnight or if we're sleeping over or something like that, is that I sleepwalk and I sleep talk. And so that's me sleeping on a beach. That was the only picture I had of me sleeping. But I sleepwalk and I sleep talk, and you can ask any one of the people who know me pretty well, and they'll each have a different story of me sleepwalking that they'll tell you. And I'll just tell you one. My favorite one is I was on summer project in North Myrtle Beach, and my roommate JP was in the kitchen getting something out of the fridge. I don't know what he was doing, but apparently, I don't remember this, but apparently I come walking out of the bedroom like this. Just directly at him, just right towards him. And he's like, he doesn't know what to do. I mean, what would you do? And so I get close to him, still walking like this, and he sticks out his hand like this. And for some reason, that was the right thing to do. And I just start slapping his hand. And at this point, I start to wake up, like while I'm slapping his hand, And I find it odd that I'm standing in the kitchen, and then I find it really odd that I'm slapping his hand. And so then I think, well, maybe I'm grabbing something from his hand. Like maybe he's offering me something. So I start to grab at his hand, like try to grab something out of his hand. And then I fully wake up and realize that there's no excuses. I just did something really weird. And all I can really do from here on is just apologize. So I just was like, I'm sorry, JP. I was sleepwalking. I'll go back to bed now. And so there you go. Those are the three things that are kind of, that stand out about me that that you need to know. But that's not everything about me. So get to know me while I'm still here. 1 week. So tonight we're going to be looking at Luke 10, and we'll be looking at three things that stood out to me in Luke 10. But first, before we get there, I'm going to pray for our night and for meetings and pray for us. Father in heaven, thank you for this night. Thank you for the men and women here, that they came here their last week of class. They probably have lots of stuff to do, finals to study for, Lord, but they put you first and they came here. So I pray that you would come tonight, that you would be here in this place, that you would speak to us individually, that you would work in our hearts, and you know our hearts, you know who we are and our intentions, Lord. So I pray that you would pierce into our hearts and teach us what you want us to know. Lord, I pray that you would take away my nervousness, Lord, that you would speak through me, and that it wouldn't be for my glory, and it wouldn't be my words, but it would be your words, Lord. And Lord, I pray that you would just give me the strength to be up here, Lord, in front of all these amazing people. So we love you, Lord, and we know that you're going to do cool things tonight. Amen. So, we're going to be looking at Luke 10. And specifically, we'll be looking at Luke 10, 1-4. But before we read that, let me tell you about my summer after freshman year. So freshman year, I was involved in crew, had an amazing year, grew my faith a ton, met a lot of great friends, had great community, was in Bible study. And then I went home for the summer. And I worked at home, worked 60 to 90 hours a week. Weekdays, weekends, and pretty much no time off. I worked at a company called Ultimate Events, where you deliver party equipment and set up tents like this. And it's just manual labor, just hard work all day. And that was the worst summer of my life. Just terrible. I had this freshman year where I was growing in my faith. I just felt like God was teaching me so many things. And I go home, and I have this summer that completely drained me physically, but also mentally and spiritually. It almost felt like I took a step back in my faith. I didn't really have community, wasn't really sharing my faith with my coworkers, and I don't want to go back to that summer. That was a terrible summer. So tonight we're going to be talking about kind of what Adam said. As you go out to your summer, how can we not have summers that are bad spiritually for us? And how can we use our summer for God? So the big question that we'll be thinking about tonight, and I want you to think about all night, is: are you going to waste your summer, or are you going to use your summer? So just think about that tonight as we go through the different points. So let's turn to Luke 10, 1-4. It should be on the screen. I'm actually just going to read off the screen. So after this, the Lord appointed 72 others and sent them 2 by 2 ahead of him to every town and place where he was about to go. He told them, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. Go, I am sending you like lambs among wolves. Do not take a purse or bag or sandals, and do not greet anyone on the road." So, first thing that stands out to me is that apparently men had purses back then. I don't know. Not like today. We don't carry purses. But actually, the first thing that I want to talk about is that living your summer for Christ will be hard work. The reality is that as a Christian, you're being sent no matter what, like Adam was saying. And being sent is not just for the people that signed up for the mission trip. It's for everyone. And And so you're being sent to your homes, to your workplaces, to your family members, to your friends, even to strangers. And that's the reality, that as a Christian, we are being sent. So the question is, are you going to act like you're being sent? God's going to provide everything that we need. So we must put our trust in that and step out in faith and to do the things that God is calling us to do. And He's going to take care of the results. So Luke 10:2 says that the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. So what that screams to me is there is a lot of work to do. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. And so when I think about that, I think about the fact that, well, it says that God is sending us to His harvest. And then I think, well, why do we care? Why would we care about the harvest? Like, seriously, it's not our harvest. Like, it's a lot of work. Maybe we should just do the minimum amount to just kind of make it through the day, because we're just getting paid, right? I mean, we're just hired hands, right? But the reality is that if we have that attitude, then the work isn't really going to get done, and it's not going to get done well. So the first thing is that we really need to care about the harvest. And to do that, we need to think about the fact that it's God's harvest, right? We are followers of God. We love God. So we should love obeying Him when He says go. And He says go. He says go in the passage. So it's not our harvest. If we don't care, then we aren't going to work hard. We need to care about the harvest for a number of reasons. So the first one is that we have a personal relationship with the God of the universe. He tells us to go. And we're not going to care unless we are one with God's desires. So we need to pray for our hearts. We need to pray that God will give us the same desires that He has. And the reality is that when God looks at the harvest, He doesn't see work. He sees the potential for grain. He sees the potential that comes out of the harvest. And so we really need to get that in order to be working like we're supposed to be working. So when you go home or wherever you're going, what do you see when you look at those around you who don't know Jesus? Well, what do I see? A lot of the time, honestly, I see a lot of work. I don't really see the potential God sees in the people around me. And especially if their life seems messy to get involved with, no way, no thank you. Give me the easy grain. Give me the low-hanging fruit. Minimum work and care needed, please. I'll sign up for that. I'll do that. That's the easy stuff, right? There is something deeply wrong with that attitude, especially in my heart. God is calling us to the harvest and calling us to the people He has placed around us. And He's called us to the messy people. And so as Christians, we need to start harvesting. We need to start harvesting the hard grain too, not just the easy stuff. So there are so many people that don't know the saving relationship offered to us in Jesus. And we are tasked with telling them about that relationship. He is the one who will protect us, and He is the one that will change lives, not us. We must be wholly reliant on Him. So that's the first point. Living your summer for Christ will be hard work. Secondly, to live our summers for Christ, we must not get distracted. In verse 4, Jesus tells us 72 not to greet anyone on the road. So in those days, greeting somebody on the road was a lengthy process. It would take a long time. So if the 72 were to greet everyone they saw on the road, they'd never get to their destination. So what Jesus is telling them is don't be delayed in your mission. If they would have greeted people on the road, then they would have been delayed from proclaiming that Jesus is coming to their towns. And they would not have been able to complete the mission God was sending them on. There was limited time for them to do their work. Jesus' ministry was only 3 years long. And then He was put on the cross, raised again, and ascended to heaven. So similarly, the work of sharing the gospel has a time limit. Jesus is going to come back, and the time for telling people about His salvation is going to end. The work God is calling you to is important. And if you don't share with your family member, your friend, your coworker, then who is? Who's going to share? We cannot be delayed from the missions God has given us. So if you feel God is calling you to calling you to do something specific, do it right away. Don't wait. Don't wait to call that friend or family member that you feel you're supposed to talk to. Don't wait to set up that Bible study that you know that you'll need this summer in order to have the same community that you've had here. Don't wait to ask your friends here to call you throughout the summer, to encourage you and pray for you. And especially don't wait to start praying for your heart. Pray for your summers. Pray that God will transform your lives so that you'll be able to see the harvest for its potential, and that you'll be able to have the faith and courage to step out and do the things that God's calling you to do. So, even good things can be a distraction that will take away from the work that God has laid out for you this summer. Remember your mission as Christ follower this summer. Do not get distracted by the day-to-day things that scream for your attention. So finally, my third point is that following Jesus this summer will be rewarding. So that's good news. After it's going to be really hard, and don't get distracted, be really focused. That's kind of like maybe that's too much. I don't want to. I'll just hibernate. I don't know, something. That seems like too much. But the third point, and maybe the most important point, is that if you live your summers out for Christ, if you use your summer for Jesus, working hard, praying, and not being distracted from what God is calling you to do, your summers are going to be rewarding. You're going to come back with so much joy, and no matter what the results are. It could be a really hard summer, and you might not see really anything happen. But if you're looking for Jesus, it will be rewarding. So let's look at Luke 10, 17 through 24 now. I'll just read it. So, the 72 returned with joy and said, "Lord, even the demons submit to us in your name." He replied, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. However, do not rejoice that the spirits submit to you, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven." At that time, Jesus, full of joy through the Holy Spirit, said, "I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned, and have revealed them to little children. Yes, Father, for this was your good pleasure. All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows who the Son is except the Father, and no one knows who the Father is except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal to him." Then he turned to his disciples and said privately, "Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you that many prophets and kings wanted to see what you see, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, did not hear it." So what is this passage telling us about living your summers out for Jesus? It's going to be amazing. It might be really hard, and it might not be what you expected, but if you trust in Jesus and you go fully focused on Him and fully reliant on Him, being sent out like lambs, relying on their shepherd, you're going to come back full of joy. And not only will you be full of joy, but God's going to have joy from that. It pleases God in this passage that the 72 came back full of joy. He even praises God in this passage. You don't see that very often in the Bible. For him to just spontaneously start praising God. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that's cool that not only is it going to bring us joy, but it brings God joy. And then the third thing about this passage is that we're privileged. As Christians, we are privileged to be a part of the work that God's doing. It says that these things were hidden to the wise that learn it, and that even kings wanted to see this kind of stuff. But no, he's letting us be a part of it. And that's so cool. We get to be a part of this redemption story of the Bible, and we get to see people pass from death to life. And I think that if you go stepping out in faith, talking to your friends, maybe who have never heard of Jesus before or don't even know that you're a Christian, and maybe start telling them about Jesus, that God might do something really cool there. And you might start caring about the harvest this way too. I mean, when you start going out and seeing the hearts of people and getting involved with people's lives, I think you'll start seeing God's potential for their lives. And you'll start to understand why God so desperately wants that relationship. But don't wait until you have that care or maybe that vision of harvest to go. Just go. Verse 3, in the first part of the passage we looked at, just says, go! Exclamation point. Just do it. Just go. And don't bring your purse. So go. And I think the vision will follow. Here we go. So, but that care for people, it might come and go because we're human. So we must have faith to persevere in our mission to make disciples. So take heart. Living missionally seems daunting and incredibly high pressure. I mean, it seems like there's a lot riding on it, but it will bring joy in life. And remember that what God's calling you to do is go. He's not calling you to have good results. He doesn't tell them, and if you don't come back with 3,000 converts, then you're off the team. Sorry. He just tells them to go. That's it. He tells them to go like lambs among wolves. Don't take anything extra with you, because I got you. You're fine. Just go, and He takes care of the rest. I think that's why He praises the Father here, because God showed up with the 72. He showed up and He showed off. He did amazing things. I wish that we knew exactly what happened with the 72. Imagine 2 by 2. I don't know what the math is there, but 72 divided by 2. Went out. Whatever you guys said. I don't know. What is this? 36. So 36 teams out. They just went. And they went to multiple cities. Imagine all the stuff that God did. So now imagine going home to wherever you're going, or staying in Madison, or going overseas. Imagine how God is going to work there. The reality is that God is going there, whether you're going to go. He's going there. Do you want to be a part of it? Do you want to step out in faith and see Him work? So, following Jesus this summer will take everything you got as you live like Christ and share what He did for us on the cross. But it will also be one of the most rewarding summers of your life, if not the most rewarding. So don't get sidetracked this summer. Set up those coffee dates tomorrow. Set up that Bible study tomorrow. Ask your friends tonight to pray for you throughout the summer and call you. And again, start praying for your summer and for your heart and for the people you will be around this summer tonight. God is going to do amazing things through you this summer, and if you step out in faith and use your summer for Him, I think you'll see that. So the big question is, the one that I asked you to think about tonight is, are you going to waste your summer, or are you going to use it? So let's pray.